Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Super excited to be with you today, as usual. You can see, where is she? Little Marilee in the background. So today I'm going to be sharing, let me see if I can get her in, how, how to go the opposite of what you think you should go. How I went from charging $125 for a 7.5 hour workshop to $3,000 for a 12-hour program, and how you can do the same, and how it is all rooted in your relationship. So I'm going to be sharing with you how you can identify the default wiring in your brain that is keeping you at a lower rate than you truly desire. Know that you are, you provide higher value, and you can charge higher value, and that is keeping you like inconsistent sales and working way too hard for the money that you are making, and how you can look at your business through your relationship so that you can receive sales much more easily and much more pleasurably. So if you are catching this on the replay, of course, I always want to hear from you. So say hello. And if you have questions, of course, while you are here, ask away. All right. And I'll be sharing some of my own story and what this looks like and how this is possible for you too. And, $3,000, if you're already at that, then how you can get to $10,000. It's not that much different. Okay. So where you are is that, sales are going okay, but how you are getting the sales is kind of a drag, yo. Like you didn't take on entrepreneurship to basically be in a job where you're working 40 hours a week or more. Maybe, I've had some, coaches who I've talked to who are working, and actually, yeah, like 12 to 16 hour days, like insane. Like, why did you not? Yeah, you might as well just get a job. And you're at that place where you're just done working all the time, and you're done working all the time and not having, an income that supports more freedom and higher self-expression. And you really want to raise your rates, but there's this sort of, a little bit of nervousness about raising your rates, which is understandable. I've been there. And, probably what's going on for you is that you just think, maybe if you just change your offer, that will help you feel like you can charge more. And maybe if you add more bonuses, like that will help you feel like you're, that validation or, confirmation that's okay for you to charge more. And you just need to give more. Like, this is where I used to be. It's like, oh, I just need to, give everything to your clients, which of course means you're just working more. So it's not really like it's basically like you didn't raise your rate, because you might have raised your rate, but you also raised how much you're working for that rate. So it's basically like you didn't raise your rate at all, which is no fun. So what I'm going to share with you today is what you can do instead to get out of that cycle of overworking for not a lot of money. So I want to share with you how you can identify your default brain wiring that is keeping you stuck in lower rates and inconsistent sales, or even if you're having up and down sales, and how you can look at your business through your relationship, and why to do that, because what's the point if there's no benefit of doing it? I wouldn't be sharing it with you if there's no benefit. But some coaches do share things without benefit, and that's not who I am. So why to do this is that it will help you get out of that rut of maybe being stuck at a certain rate for a long time, and knowing you can raise your rate, but just a little bit of hesitancy, or you do raise your rate and then sales disappear, or you are just at that place where just sales are just up and down, and you want to have consistent sales. So when we do this, and how I'll show you today, and I'll share some of my own stories, that's when your sales will completely change. So let me just see if there's any questions. Cool. All right. So just a little bit. So where you are, just that feeling, and I've been there, like I mentioned, feeling frustrated, And there might be a part of you that feels like just, oh, it's okay. You just kind of want to settle. Like you're tired of fighting. I get it. But deep down, there's this part of you that's like, no, you're just discontent. And as much as you try to convince yourself it's okay, it's not that bad, you know deep in your soul, in your heart, that you want more and you want to do your business differently. And the way it's going, you're just starting to lose that love for your business. And then when that happens, there's that little voice, the kind of voice of doubt that's kind of creeping in and saying, is this even possible for me to really have the lifestyle I desire? Is it possible for me to, charge the rate that I desire and have the clients that you desire? And, the rational mind, based on all the information out there in the coaching world, in entrepreneurship world, the rational mind comes in and says, okay, great. You want to raise your rate? This is what we're going to do. We're going to change your offer. We're going to offer even more to your clients, more time. We're going to add bonuses, more resources, more audios, just like throw like information overload onto your clients, because that will justify in your brain it's okay to charge more. Well, here to tell you, the offer isn't the problem. And changing it and adding more bonuses and adding more overall and giving more to your clients isn't going to make you feel better about raising your rate, because it's kind of like in a relationship, right? It's like swapping out one guy for another. You still are going to have that same issue, and it's going to show up no matter who you're with. And adding more bonuses just feels kind of icky. It's like, begging someone in a relationship, please don't leave. Like, I'll do this and I'll do that. And you're like doing everything you can to get them to stay, which really feels desperate. And what the message is underneath that is your program, your offer, you aren't good enough. And that's obviously not attractive and that will repel good clients. It'll attract the clients that do think the same, that you're not good enough. They don't trust you, that they're not good enough. And that's when you get really demanding clients, which means you're working really, really hard. And, your rate just starts to diminish because you're just putting in tremendous number of hours, which is not the point of all of this, right? So what you do need, which again, you don't need to change your offer. You don't need to add more. You don't need to add more, bonuses. What you do need is what I'm going to share with you today, is to understand your default brain wiring and how that is rooted in your relationships. That's the first part. And how you can shift your relationship through, actually, we're going to look at today through the psychology underneath it, which is rooted in your personality, and how changing your personality will help you change your relationship, which will help you change your offer, basically, because what you're changing, you are your offer. And that will help you feel confident in raising your rates and attracting incredible clients. So for me, like I mentioned in the title, where this is coming from is it's all related. Your relationship, what's happening in your relationship is what's happening in your business. So when I first started, of course I did what everyone, don't follow these people if this is you, if you're just starting, was, you need to offer a bunch of free sessions. So of course I did. And then I offered, a low session, not a low session, like a low rate program. And again, I don't recommend this if you're just getting started, but unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, you learn from everything. That's the information I had at the time, and that's what I believed what I needed at the time. And even, giving you some context, when I was starting my business, I had gone through 2 pretty devastating personal losses and, had transitioned from living in a different country, living back in the US, kind of navigating a different, situation, because I had, of course, you change a ton when you live outside of your home country in a country that doesn't speak your language, and at the same time going through significant losses. So I was really trying to figure out who I was. So there was some struggles within me with self-esteem, of course, right? And what you are inside is what you attract. So of course I was available to attract a really, really destructive, dysfunctional relationship, which of course was reflected in my business. This is why I was offering, a 7.5 hour workshop for $125. Like, how crazy is that? Which it is what it is. It's all for me. It all helped me learn, pretty significant lessons, of course. So what happened, was I had to do the work to understand, like, where is this coming from? Why is it that I'm in this, really destructive relationship? And why is it that I'm offering a really low rate on this tremendous, like, it was an incredible workshop. I put my heart and soul into it, tons of research, gave it my all, was worth way more than $125. Well, so what needed to happen was that I had to, see myself differently. And part of this has to come from a place of compassion and curiosity, not judgment and criticism. If I was like, oh my God, what the hell? You're dating this total douchebag who treats you like crap. You're offering, super cheap rate on what is your work, your soul work. What the hell? Like, obviously being a bully and beating yourself up is not how we change, because our tendency for many people is to be that way. And of course, most people don't change. If you have ever beaten yourself up, you never change. You end up like digging your heels in like changing the least. And if you've ever been in a relationship with a coach where there have been a bully, you've probably seen too, it doesn't help. It doesn't change things. It makes it worse, because it just reinforces the idea that something's wrong with you, of course, right? And if that belief is already rooted from, of course, childhood experience, and you're just reinforcing it by being a bully to yourself, it's not going to change. When you come at a different angle and can see yourself with compassion and curiosity, then it's like, oh, well, I wonder if there's something different. What might that be? And then you can start to take different steps, which of course includes getting the right support. And when you want to get the right support from a place of power, not from a place of thinking that you're broken and someone out there is going to save you, but from, I think I could do this differently, and it would be helpful if I could work with someone that could help me see this differently and take different actions, that kind of thing. So you're getting into an empowered relationship with a mentor coach, not a dysfunctional relationship, because it's all about relationships, right? Because if you're in a pattern of dysfunctional relationships with partners, you're also going to be in a pattern of dysfunctional relationships with mentors. You're just going to repeat again that same pattern of codependency. So anyway, when I was able to start to do the work, to get the right support, to start to shift how I saw myself, to understand like where this pattern is coming from. And for me, what it was rooted in, we all have different childhood experiences, and how those childhood experiences impact us is different for everyone. And how it wires our brain is different for everyone. So when I could see that, it was rooted in like this fear around being seen, about could I really have what I wanted, then with understanding, I could start to learn how to shift that and start to learn how to shift how I saw myself, so that I could say goodbye to those old patterns and really root in the discovery and uncovering and ownership of what my unique gifts are, and then really being able to ground your identity from that place, which shifts your personality, shifts how you show up in your relationships, which shifts how you show up in your business. And when I did all of this, my default pattern began to change. And then of course I started attracting different people into my life, different support into my life, an incredible partner into my life. I started, just from $125 for a 7.5 hour workshop to $3,000 for a 12-hour program. And it sold like that, no problem. And that's what's possible for you too. Absolutely possible. So how do you identify your default brain wiring? So the first thing, of course, you want to notice your patterns. Like, where are you struggling? Is it that you never have enough money at the end of the month? Is it that, you have a great month and then a terrible month? And that you just notice you're working all the time, and that there's just this undercurrent of struggle. So what is important to see here is that the message is that it is safe to struggle. That the default wiring in your brain is that stress is required, that survival and protection is necessary. And what that looks like is working really hard. So it's not getting all of what you want. is what feels safe, and not having to struggle but actually feel like a threat. So I know it sounds confusing, but when there's a pattern and an experience from childhood where it might not feel safe to be you, it might not feel safe to have what you want, it might not feel safe not to struggle, then to not struggle will not be possible. Your subconscious will always find ways for you to struggle, which is what happened. And it'll happen not only, of course, in your business, it'll happen in your relationship, that you'll be attracting, like I was, relationship that is completely unfulfilling, unsatisfying, that is destructive and dysfunctional, and that never gives you all of what you want. And in that relationship, I didn't get anything of what I wanted. I mean, it was, a hidden relationship. I couldn't really tell anyone about it, couldn't talk about it. So of course, I can't even really say I'm dating someone. I mean, I'm not getting anything in what I want, which if you want, to be in a relationship where you're seen, then you need to change the wiring in your brain so it feels safe to be seen. So when you see, okay, what is this pattern? And the thing is, if you don't, this is why it's really important to have the right support, because sometimes you don't know the pattern. You just think, just working hard is what it takes, and that's just normal. And if you're not curious and have the right support to see, like, well, where's this coming from? Because I imagine you don't want to be working hard like all the time forever. It's exhausting and leads to burnout and a lot of health problems, physically and mentally. So getting the right support so you can see what that pattern is, so you can start to change it, is imperative. And that pattern, of course, this is the second part of this, is rooted in relationship. Because of course, as a child, all you have is relationships. No matter if they were functional, dysfunctional, or abusive, all you have is that core relationship of your caregivers. And if however they were is what you start to think is how the world works. So that will also be what you'll experience in your romantic relationship. If there's some off power dynamics where either, you have all the power or your partner has all the power, where you might experience, just a lack of intimacy, a lack of closeness, because it might not feel safe to be close. You have to kind of keep your shield up. Or you might be that you're creating a lot of conflict and a lot of drama. Again, look at that pattern. If conflict in childhood was seen as what creates, security, or that's what makes your family feel like you are a family, then you're going to continue to create conflict in your current relationship. So where this comes from is that, make sure I'm on the right page. Not yet. Okay. Where this comes from is, sorry, I got distracted, is in our personalities. So the definition of a personality, according to, psychological researchers, social researchers, it's one's individual's characteristic way of thinking, feeling, and acting based on enduring motives and impulses that they possess. So traits, like, your personality traits are motives and impulses that are enduring over time that you possess. And those enduring motives and impulses, of course, come from your childhood experiences. That's how they get wired in, that you notice, I need to be a certain way in order to be safe in this family, to be, navigate and be successful in this family. Well, the thing is, they say enduring motives. So motives change. So there's, of course, in childhood, and there still is in adulthood too, a survival motive. But the survival motive in childhood is going to be very different from the survival motive in adulthood. But if you're still operating out of a survival motive in childhood, then, and not noticing that it's not necessary anymore because it's hardwired into your brain, and if you're not having the right support to really become aware of it, then you're going to repeat those patterns of overworking, discontent, never having truly what you desire, and frustration, of course. And of course, that's going to show up in your relationships, where your relationships won't be satisfying, and that you feel like you're working really hard in your relationships, or working really hard to have a relationship if you don't have one. So in order to change this, you have to change part of your personality. and you've maybe heard this before, but personality isn't permanent. And you might think that, and a lot of people say that, oh, I'm just that's just the way I am, and that's just my DNA, I was just born that way. You are born a certain way, but we all have the capacity to change. Like the most, extreme examples, I mean, actually, this is from the Bible, but like if you think about Saul, like he was, a psychopath, like persecuting everyone, like pretty evil person, to becoming like, the most loving, and devoted disciple, like crazy change. And this actually, there's a story from, if you've read any of Viktor Frankl's books, Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor, and he talked about, one of the German guards, I think he was a guard in a prison, who was known as like the most like horrific, just awful, again, psychopathic, like just evil person. And then he ended up being imprisoned, and all the prisoners were like, he's like the kindest, like most loving, like you wouldn't even like know that was the same person. So anyway, all that to say, your personality is not permanent, which is awesome. So in order to change your personality, of course, you need to become aware of this default pattern so that you can start to see yourself differently. And the most powerful way to see yourself differently, so that you're not attaching how you see yourself based on how others might see you or how you think you need to be in order to get approval, acceptance, belonging, which is how we are trained in childhood to be, is to see yourself through the lens of your unique gifts. And this is also another reason why it's really, really important to have the right support. Because if you don't work with a mentor or coach who really sees you and it can really help you to explore and discover what your unique gifts are, then your value is always going to come, and your worth is always going to come from something outside of you. Like, how many sales did you make? How many clients did you book? Like all these, how much money did you make? All these external factors, which is not rooted in who you truly are, because who you truly are is not dependent on anything outside of you. And when you can start to really explore and see, what are those unique gifts to you that no one else has, and that come from your unique experience in childhood and how you learn to navigate, and which created your strengths, even though, they need to be rewired, because, you could still be operating out of those old patterns that are working against you. And so it's changing that so that your patterns are working for you. And part of that is being able to see yourself through the lens of your unique gifts. So how you do that, again, is you start to really shift who you are. And two of the components on this next slide, you can see these are they call them the big five of personality. That, of course, there's, thousands of different personalities, but they're all rooted in these five things. So the two that really help with changing this pattern of overworking and, how you see yourself, I would say the core ones here would be openness and neuroticism. Because openness, when you become more open to new ideas about yourself, about how the world works, about what's possible for you, that combines with neuroticism. So neuroticism is, the negative beliefs you hold about yourself. And the more open you are, the more you can start to release those negative beliefs about yourself and about the way the world works and any limitations you might have placed on yourself and what's possible for you. And then the others, of course, agreeableness and conscientiousness and extroversion, they can all have varying degrees of, depending on situations, but the ones that really are key for changing, this pattern of struggle is, becoming more open and becoming less neurotic. So as you change these, because you start to see yourself through the lens of your unique gifts, then you can operate from a place of I call it inner security, where you have more emotional stability, you're able to relax, you're able to be more creative and see what you want to change about your business and about the types of clients that you want to work with, and how your gifts are uniquely wired for specific clients in the specific, process of transformation that you lead your clients through. When you have that grounding in that space, you change who you are in your relationship with your partner as well. Because you no longer have that need to struggle, to create drama, to create conflict, to, argue over power dynamics or differences. And that allows you to navigate whatever not struggles, because they're not necessarily struggles, because what happens then is, of course, you're going to face challenges as you continue to evolve and want to continue to grow in your business. But when you meet those challenges, you're going to be able to meet them in a very different place, from a place of emotional stability, from a place of security, from a place of openness, from a place of curiosity and compassion. And that allows you to continue to see yourself differently, because you start to think and feel differently about yourself and those challenges. It's no longer that you're broken and you're limited. And then you really start to understand, what you're here for, which, of course, that helps you completely shift how you see yourself. And as you do, of course, like I mentioned, your relationship changes. You change how you communicate, you change your boundaries, and that changes how you think and feel about yourself in your business and the types of clients you want to work with, and the type, the offers that how you want to be working with your clients, so that you can create a program. And this is what I help my clients with too, from your gifts, because you see how unique and powerful the work you do is, based on that you have this unique gifts that no one else has, which helps you be more confident in raising your rates and selling. Like when I changed this, I was selling like out of, like going to a workshop that I didn't even have, I wasn't offering the workshop, I was attending the workshop, and someone came up to me and asked me if they could have my business card, which I didn't have. And we set up an appointment, and she hired me. Like, it's that easy, because you change who you are, and really it's who you are that is impacting your up and down sales, your low rates. And it's because it's coming from a place of insecurity and doubt and low self-esteem. And so that is what needs to change. And being able to change that, again, you need to be able to rewire your brain to change, how that impacted your personality and impacted how you see yourself in the world. And that will help you change how you see your business and how your clients and prospective clients will see you, so that, charging, $5K, $10K for your services will be a no-brainer. They will be like, yeah, like where, how do I sign up? So let me know if you have questions. All right. So if you are tired of working nonstop and not even loving some of the work that you're doing, or even maybe some of the clients you're working with, and you really want to raise your rates and really change, how you work, so that you are working less and working with more joy and energy and doing the things that you truly love and not having all the sacrifice, I invite you to schedule it. I call it a deep reveal, 30-minute deep reveal, where I will show you the default wiring that is keeping you stuck at lower rates and inconsistent sales, and help you uncover those gifts that are hidden in that, which will open you up to getting 10K in sales right away. Like, no problem. Got it? All right. I don't see any questions, my friends. So I will come back and check later. Oh, I didn't change my slides, but I'll just show you this last slide, which I've talked about before. It's, everything is dependent upon you, and that impacts your communication, which impacts your relationships, which of course impacts your sales. So if you're ready to change that and have sales be, fun and pleasurable, and your work to be fun and pleasurable, and done with sacrifice and struggle, let's get on a call. All right. You can be like Mary Lee back there, just chilling. Where is she? Okay, there she is. All right, friends, have an amazing, amazing afternoon. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I can't wait to talk to you on a deep reveal. Let's do it. All right, cool. Talk to you soon. Bye.